All right. So what we did, and we're gonna pivot to this real quick, is go into some of the specific indicators of how these cults. In Stephen Hassan's book, he originally refers to it as mind control, and since then he's updated it to offering undue influence, just because like the term mind control has all the baggage and everything. But we're gonna discuss. Let's pull up the old website here, and here we go. The bite model, and there's going to be 4 different sections here. It'll be behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. And what we did is we went through this little checklist here, and we picked one of them for each category, and we will discuss something that we saw in the independent fundamental Baptist movement that correlates to what we saw here. So we'll start with Carla here with behavior control. Okay, did you find one that stood out to you that you think was an example of?
Yeah, one I can remember vividly is financial exploitation. First thing I think of is tithing. And it was really weird. Oh my goodness. For myself as a teenager, being guilt tripped by my own parents, thankfully they're like not weird about that now, but back then being guilt tripped because whenever I started making more money at whatever job I had, or I had a really good babysitting gig and I got a lot of money for that amount of time that I watched them, they knew how much I made and they're like, okay, so you need to give like 10%. That means give more than what you gave last time. Like give all of this. And I'm like, no, I earned this money. Like, what? And then there were times where our family would be struggling and my dad would finally get like, a really good job. And then just all the money straight to the church. And then he would always say, well, we're not going to be blessed if I don't tithe. Like, we're not going to get the blessings. I was like, yeah, we will if you keep the money.
What if that was the blessing, bro?
That was the blessing.
What if the money was the blessing?
Yo, pay these bills. Let's get a bigger house. Let's get a nicer car. Like, dang. And so the church itself, I remember we would have sometimes like a week-long, what is it? Not evangelism. Revival, yeah. And it would be all about tithing. And the sermons would be so focused on just kind of into like,
Oh my God, no, I don't think that I really realized it back then, but the revivals were so like focused on giving.
And the whole offering plate, that whole session took way longer than it normally would. It'd be like, back down and be like,
Carla,
I've seen more than this before. I know you guys have more in your pockets.
I'm waiting for the Lord to move somebody to make a big offering.
I was like, wow, this is my last $5.
That's all I got to eat. What?
Carla, I wrote down revivals too. But for a different reason. But it fits right in. And I wrote down revivals and mission trips. Once again, different, but they dovetail right in. And when you talked about the offering plate, one, it's like social coercion because the plate's coming by. It's like, man, I haven't seen you donate to the offering plate.
Yeah, it's in front of everybody.
Yeah,
I wonder how they do that I wonder how they do that these days when no one carries cash. Like, I really wonder how that works because no one's walking around.
They probably have the cash app at the end of every pew.
Yeah,
probably.
It's like it has to be right. But that's
would
just so
horrify me.
People probably write checks and they have a little envelope, the monthly.
Oh yeah, the faith promise thing that you would write down. Hey, I'm pledging, $100 a month to the church, and I remember that.
Used to go.
I'd be filling those things out like crazy.
11 years old, $500. Never.
17 years old. I'm gonna donate these nuts.
My friends would be like,
That's so funny. That's so funny. I'm so mad I never did that. That is hilarious. God, that's funny. That's really
I used
great.
to pull out the visitor cards with the most wild shit.
Damn, you guys had so much more fun than I did. That's hilarious too. This is I'm a visitor. See more butts. I came to visit the church.
I want to visit these nuts.
Visit these nuts. This is a Hugh G. Rection. I'm here to attend your church. Yeah, God, that'd be funny. God, I'm so. I'm gonna go to a church next Sunday and fill out a visitor's card. That's really funny. And another one was so. Do you guys remember when missionaries would come visit every now and again?
Yes.
And it was always the same thing. They always showed up. and they said, hey, I'm a missionary to French Guiana. And, just so you know, I've seen a lot of demons and spirits there. I have no proof of it. The more remote the location, the further it is from like the modern world. Apparently, the demons love that place. Shame you guys can't see it, but please donate to me because this place only has 5 Bible-believing churches in the whole country. They would always say that. They would always say
the other churches don't count.
The other ones
only
don't count.
IFC.
There's 1,000 churches, but there's only 5 real ones, and I need to be number 6. And then at the end, they would play that slideshow, and it always be "People Need the Lord" would always be playing that. And then they're like, all right, don't you want to give some money? You cheap bastards, hand over the cash. And so, that financial manipulation was pretty strong. That was a great.
It was always like that. Always the missionaries were performative. Like you could tell this was like they were going on the road. They were raising money. That was exactly what they were here for.
Yeah. They all did the same thing. Same routine, same pattern.
Yeah.
Some of their stories were pretty fun, though. I did enjoy the stories the missionaries had. I didn't believe half of them, but I did find them entertaining. I'll at least give them that. Yeah. How about you, Kayla? Which one did you pick from behavior?
So for me, I always am trying to I guess draw emphasis on the Haven experience. So really everything on the list, but I particularly wanted to point out the separation from families. That was so when I went to the Haven, it was proposed to my family. It wasn't my parents' idea. It was the preacher's idea, my pastor's idea. And then it was supported by the other, important families in the church. And I really think that my parents experienced probably, I don't want to speak for them, but I think they were kind of pressured into it. So when I look at it from
this girl has to go. She's got
this is
everyone
a problem.
Get her out of here.
Yeah, we're having to bring in a unit to whoop her ass. She gotta go.
Oh my god.
So they experienced some pressure, but so
I said,
Kayla got chased at a church like Frankenstein.
They're like, can't even save this one. It's locked down for her. But there is this whole, first of all, there's a whole teen industry in America. And then the underbelly of the teen industry is where there's this there's cult teen industry, right? So I'm laughing, but I was not that wild at this time of my life. And I don't think any normal family or normal situation or normal people looking in would have been yeah, she needs to go away. I was just a teenage girl, and I had a weird upbringing and I was confused and trying to figure stuff out. But, that was their whole thing. When we talk about having the teens go out and how I said, it's almost like recruiting, I think the original idea of these homes was kind of something like that. They were going to get in control of these kids as well as abuse them or for whatever motivation might have been there. But then after we've got, these pre-made, ready to go, incredible testimony, perfect, IFBers to put back into churches. And I don't think it really has gone that way for most of them. But, it's a bigger grand scheme to me. Yes, they're trying to separate kids and teens from their families so that they can continue this pattern and crank these people out. But
yeah, that's interesting. You talked about how it didn't work for a lot of you. I'm curious to know what the stats are on this for people who get put into those Christian group homes, what the success rate is. I guess success rate would be people who stayed with the religion or the movement in general, because lower than people would guess. Because you go through that and it's a nightmare. Who would want to continue that for their lives, the lives of their kids?
Yeah.
And so for behavior, I picked group indoctrination and you guys kind of focused on a lot of these, but mainly the one that I thought of was the repetition of actions for the indoctrination. Because unlike most Christian denominations, do you guys remember how odd it was when you found out that most Christians don't go to church 3 times a week? You remember that? Because I thought we all did that. I thought every
Yeah.
church had like Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. I thought that's the way it was. Like, no, that's really just us. Like a lot of churches, they have it once a week, like
Mhm.
normal people. And that's that's not on top of, like you said, the like bi-yearly revivals. You probably had 2 revivals a year where you hung out at church all day long, essentially, several preachers a day, getting you revived for the Lord and hand over some of that cash and everything.
Mhm.
And I this first really hit me when I stopped going to church. And I stopped going to church.
You're like, what do I do with all this free time?
Yeah.
So much
That
room for
part.
activities.
That part.
And when I was gone, I very quickly started receding away from the faith. It didn't take long at all. It's like, oh, I get it now. If they
Oh,
keep
yeah.
you doing this 3 times a week, you stay bought in. You get, you get rejuvenated every Sunday. You meet other people who think the same thing, but you stop seeing them for a month or 2, and you're like, yeah, why am I gonna go back? And by the way, that sounded ridiculous. It didn't take long at all. I was shocked how quickly I could detach from it just by missing a few weeks of church.
Yeah, damn. I've not really thought about it like that.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to be
it's pretty
cramming
quick.
it down your throat like pretty constantly to get you to buy this.
Yeah, and it makes sense why they push it so much, because I guarantee they've seen it. Because actually we did hear this, that you stop going to church and a lot of people don't come back, and you thought, oh, look at
Backsliding.
those sinners. Backsliding, yeah. Look at those
called
sinners.
it.
I can't believe they stopped going. And then you stop going, you're like, yeah, I'm not going back. Oh, well, no, like I'm fine. It turns out, yeah, I wasn't struck by a bolt of lightning. I haven't been, smitten with a plague or anything. Why am I going to go back? It's perfectly fine.
Right.
All right.